Hello, beautiful people, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I am bringing you my friend and my guest, Beata. So, Beata and I got connected through my favorite yoga teacher, Wendy. And I am so grateful to have met such a beautiful, loving, gentle, and down to earth soul. She is a yin yoga teacher, a breathwork facilitator, and a sound healer. Now, I know in this modern day, we might feel super connected through technology or through social media, and sometimes we forget that we need to connect within ourselves. And that's where Beata comes in. She guides everyone through breathing. As simple as that. And you know what? If you have children at home, I would highly recommend you to continue watching because she focuses on guiding young children how to better manage their emotions and life challenges. No matter who you are, where you are, or what age you're at, I know you're going to enjoy this interview. You will learn more about breathing and sound healing. Now, however you're watching this episode, please do a screenshot and tag us on social. We would really appreciate the love. Alright, enjoy the interview!
Before you share what you do, Beata, I would love to say a huge thank you for sparing time for me and to share your story with everyone. But I would actually love you to tell everyone how are you feeling today.
Thank you, Ting, for taking the time to create this retreat. Such a beautiful idea and such a beautiful offering to people in this time. Yeah, I really appreciate being part of it. And I'm feeling good. I just got home to the country from a weekend celebrating with friends in Melbourne and seeing my yoga family. And I just feel like topped up with a lot of love. And yeah, it was busy, but it was beautiful.
It is always so good to be surrounded by the people, your supportive group, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Beata, would you like to share with everyone what you do now, actually?
Yeah, sure. So now I teach kids mindful breathing in schools, and it's under the name of Breath Circle. And basically, our intention is to share the mindful breathing as a tool for calming down. So, as a tool for self-regulating emotions and dealing with all the challenges of life. And I guess no one taught me that when I was at school. And I grew up in a small coastal town, and I felt like a fish out of water. And I wish I had some tools to help me through it because I was kind of like an angry teenager and I just had so much energy and I didn't know what to do with it. And yeah, I just fight with my mum and run away and go out like partying and do all this crazy stuff. And no one kind of gave me any way of like channeling that energy for good or calming down. And so that's a big motivator for why I want to teach young people this tool. Because, yeah, I know it would have saved me a lot of trouble if I had it when I was a kid. And yeah, I guess I want to empower young people so that they feel they can express their ideas. And basically, they're the future. Like, we're kind of, I feel like our generation can create a path for them, but then they're going to take it and run with it and create our future. So I feel like it's important to kind of share that space of awareness with them and teach them that they have everything they need inside and they can take care of themselves. And yeah, if they do experience any like challenges in life or mental health issues or whatever, they can just sit and breathe and monitor their nervous system, monitor their mental health, and they don't need like to go to a psychologist all the time or to go and see an expensive practitioner of Chinese medicine or whatever it is, Do that as well, it's great, but know how to take care of you first. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And that is such great motivation because of what you said. Like I myself, of course, have experienced some stuff when I was young too. So I think what you said, everyone can relate, and especially now, kids, everything is so accessible with their phone. So
Yes.
definitely, it's even more important now, I feel, to be more mindful. So, um,
So
what age do you teach?
So at the moment, I'm focusing mostly on primary school. So we've got four schools for term one, and they're all going to be primary school. But because we're in the country, it's a very small school. So it's from like 25 to 50 kids in one school. And so
Wow.
I'll be dealing with prep to grade six all together, which is challenging in itself, but it's great. And then I also work with another school that has lots of different students come. It's like an outdoor education camp. And so we get high school kids in there. We've had year nines, year seven, year eight. Yeah, and I'm really open to working with any age group, but I do feel like the middle years is where it's most important. So from about grade six to year nine, because that's when everything's changing in your body, in your hormones, in your emotions, and that's when it can be really chaotic inside and a lot of change happening outside as well. So I feel like that's when it's most needed, like those formative years of transformation.
And do you work with people virtually?
Yeah, I do. Like I'm teaching yoga online and I'm considering doing a breath circle teacher training online just so more people can access it. But I prefer to work in person just because I can get a clearer sense of the energy in the room and I can teach to the room. And I feel like a big part of what I do is in my presence. So a big part of actually teaching is my own practice and like taking time to sit every day and be with my breath and love my breath and then moderate my nervous system. They call it attunement in yoga. So if your nervous system is in parasympathetic mode and you're super chill and rest and digest is on, and you've got the kind of stronger nervous system in the room, say if you're going in with kids who are a bit unstable, they'll all come and meet your nervous system. So it's like an energetic thing that just happens. They call it attunement. So if I can be there with them in person, they'll feel that. And it's a little bit harder to feel that through a screen.
And there is this tool, if anyone that's listening and watching want to give it a try. I'll be leaving your details in the description. I want to go back a little bit because you said you were fighting with your mom
Yeah,
a lot.
a lot.
How is the relationship with her now?
It's actually so good. And it's funny you ask because she's at my house at the moment for 2 nights. And we're actually doing a meditation journey together with my teacher from Israel, Amit. And he does sound healing work. And like she jumped on this journey with me about maybe 6 months ago. And she loves it. And it's like opening her to more love and more presence. And it's actually so beautiful how far we've come. Like, it took a while. Like it
Yeah.
really did. It was a good solid decade there where it was challenging. But I think the more I take care of myself and the more I practice yoga and meditation, the more I kind of sit like solidly into my own energy, she kind of sees that I'm happy and she sees that I'm good. And she's like, oh, what's that about? Oh, what's Beata up to? And then she asks questions and she loves it now. And we can meet in this space like that's really peaceful and we share the same interests and we can practice together yoga and meditation. And, we love the nature and outdoors. And so, yeah, it's actually so good now.
Love it. And that all started from breath work.
Yeah, for me it did. Well, it kind of started with psychotherapy. So we had a bit of a like family trauma when I was 21, and it was quite a shock. And so after that, I just went into psychotherapy and I was like, yeah, I'll work with my brain because that's the Western model and that's what you do. And, I did that for a while, but then I got to a point where I felt like I hit a wall and I couldn't, it's like I understood the trauma and I understood the behavior pattern and what was going on in my body, but I didn't actually know how to shift it or change it. It was just a really good analysis that I had going on. And then my Chinese medicine friend and doctor, she said, why don't you just go and try a yin class once a week? Because I was quite fatigued for a while there. And I was like, oh yeah, I could handle yin. And I went into yoga with this attitude like, oh, it's only for fancy, like middle class white women. Like I was so anti. I was like, nah, it's like not accessible to everyone and like, and it's all about Lululemon and that. But then I went to this yin class and she was so down to earth and so real. And I realized if I can just connect to my breath and my body like lovingly, don't even need to exert much energy, it was so healing. And I literally felt like energy and trauma like shift out of my body through that practice. And so, yeah, then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I want to do more. And I started getting into, stronger practice and proper asana. And yeah, it flowed on from there. But
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so cool.
yeah,
And
yeah,
thank you for saying like the whole experience, because you know what? I can guarantee you that so many people out there that are like, ah, yoga. Like, like they have this perception about yoga. But thank
yeah,
you. So thank you so much for saying that. Like for
you're
those who are
welcome.
listening and watching, see, like you just sometimes need to just give it a try. And thank you for
Yeah,
trying.
you're welcome. Totally.
And
And I do teach in like a fancy studio in Paran, and I also
mm,
teach like community yoga in schools and like women's shelters and like really low key. So I feel like there's value in both of those worlds. And I realize now that my judgment was just because I didn't understand it. And once I got in there, I was like, oh, it doesn't matter what it's like on the outside or what clothes you wear or, how perfect your hair is or whatever. It's not about that. It's actually healing regardless of who you're working with. And everybody, it can help everyone. So yeah, it's all good.
100%. That is so true. Now, speaking about healing, before you touched on about sound healing,
Yeah,
would you like to share with people about that, please?
yeah, sure. Um, So I guess my first experience of sound healing was like going to a sound healing with probably with Avishai Bartanen, who's the Israeli sound healer. He lives in Byron Bay in Australia, and he does beautiful, like he'll play bowls and he plays a flute and he uses his voice. And it kind of sounds like there's five of him in the room because he projects his voice around the room. And it's really passive. Like you just go in, lay down under a warm blanket, close your eyes and listen and like absorb the vibration. And it's really peaceful and beautiful. And it's a great way for people to kind of enter sound healing because you're not needing to actively use your voice or engage in that way. You're just really receptive. Um, so yeah, I went to his and made friends with him and got interested and went to lots of different sound healings for a year or two around Melbourne. And then after a while, I was like, oh, I'm quite curious to see what happens if I use my own voice. And I'd never been a singer growing up or anything, and I'm still not. But I started going to my friend Jacinta's chanting circles, and she held them once a week on a Friday, and we chant to different goddesses each week. So it's like calling the energetic of the goddess into your life through the yogic tradition. And there's this beautiful book, Sally Kempton, The Goddesses of Yoga, and she describes each one and like what their powers are and how you can kind of, yeah, bring them into your actual tangible reality. So I started doing that. And because it's chanting, you don't have to sound pretty or beautiful or you don't have to have the perfect voice. It's just like repeating the same mantra over and over again for probably an hour.
Yeah.
And you kind of get into like a trance. And we did it in a circle, so maybe 10 people, and everyone just unites. And it's like this collective consciousness, and you're all chanting at the same time. And I just found it so healing to let go of my mind and dive into that space, like full presence. And it's a good way for people who are not used to meditating silently because you've still got the structure of the mantra and that kind of keeps you anchored and it gives you your mind something to do so that it's not wandering off on thought journeys but you can
Mm-mm-mm.
still like be fully present and be in a deep meditative space. So yeah, I did that for 4 years, like pretty much every Friday.
Wow.
Loved it. And then I met Jacinta's teacher Amit, who is now my teacher as well, and he's amazing. Like, he's an Israeli musician from the 70s and he used to play to like 20,000 people. And he's an incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
But he realized one day he wasn't using his voice and he was like, why? You know, I'm so comfortable playing to all these people on my guitar, but I never sing. And he started singing as like a way to unite with spirit and just letting his voice go, like sighing and freeing his voice. And he went into the mountain and did it for 3 years and like connected to his spirit in that way. And now he holds journeys sometimes 21 days, which I did in Greece last year. And you go with him and he plays music and you all sing total freedom. You don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. And it's like a way of meditating into silent presence.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. So that's, I guess, the other side of sound healing for me, the more active side, where I'm using my voice as my own best medicine. And it's like your body can feel the healing vibration of your own voice moving through all your different energy centers. And it's honestly like heaven. It's so beautiful.
For those people who are, I get, like you said, who are not really amazing at just sitting there and meditate, you have
Mm.
just given them another way to be more present.
Mm. Yeah, it does. It makes it easier, especially if you've got someone who can play like beautiful guitar and sing with you, because it's dreamy, and it takes your attention and yeah, it's like he holds your hand and takes you in so easily. And you can do that
Mm.
for yourself with your own voice too. And yeah, it's definitely a smoother entry point than just, okay, now I'm sitting silently. That's it. Your mind's like, woohoo, let's go. I'm going to think about everything.
It's so true. So, is that something that you teach too, sound healing?
So I'm mentoring with Amit now, and pretty much what I'm teaching at Breath Circle is like the same structure as what he's teaching us in our journeys. So we're using movement, sound, and breath as ways to connect and unite and be fully present in the moment. And I'm focusing more on breath than sound. He's more focusing on sound, but it's the same thing. It's like you're taking people on a journey through the practice, and I'm in a very gentle way, I'm taking these kids on a journey. Because it's like, okay, you meet, you check in, all right, we're going to move our bodies a bit, like shake or whatever, just get out of the head and into the body. And then they've got a bit of a heart rate. And then we're going to sing together, which maybe makes them a bit anxious, but then they come back down. And the whole time they're engaged, like they're like, oh, it felt like we lost time. Like, was that a whole hour? Like, what just happened? And then at the end, they're meditating and they're laying down, they're breathing consciously and they're resting. And so it's like a little journey through different like doorways to presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's similar to what we do with a MIT, just a different focus. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So, do you only focus on kids? Like, do you offer service for adults as well?
Yeah, I do. And I actually love working with adults as well. Like, I started off working with kids for 10 years in a drop-in centre in Melbourne as a social worker. And it was mostly like South Sudanese migrants to Australia. So, big African community, lots of like interesting, challenging, like traumatized kids. And I loved it. It was like my big African family that I was accepted into somehow. But then I spent 4 years teaching yoga to adults at AYA in Paran, Australian Yoga Academy, and I was like, wow, this is a walk in the park. Like, firstly, these adults paid and they want to be here. Like, they signed up and they're willing to be here. And secondly, they're so polite. Like, they're not trying to fight each other or, like, they're not wild children. And so, for sure, I love having a balance of teaching adults and teaching kids because even though I can handle the kids and I love them, I couldn't do it every day for the rest of my life because it takes a totally different energy to, yeah, when you're working with
Yeah,
well-behaved adults.
definitely, definitely. Now, you say you have been teaching kids for over 10 years. So, how did you stumble upon this whole breathing and sound healing and yoga journey?
So I guess that was a bit later. I started teaching the kids when I was, yeah, 19 at Cubbies. I was so young, I knew nothing about life. Like, I was like a baby. I don't know why they let me teach them, but I got in there and I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do here? Like, these kids know more than me, and they're like, they've been in a war and they're like super tough. And I was like, this little, country coastal girl, like in the big city. But that was super like character building over 10 years. I learned so much, and now I feel like I can handle whatever's thrown at me,
Okay.
behavior wise. And the yoga didn't come till later. It wasn't till, yeah, probably after I went to art school, did sculpture, and then it was probably only 5 years ago, really, that I got into the yoga. Yeah. And it was as a way to heal my own like family trauma and family violence trauma. And yeah, I found it, I'm really more attracted to the really subtle practices like the breath work, the sound, the meditation, than the like athletic, hardcore asana, like Ashtangi. I totally respect it, but it's just not my
Not
thing.
you.
Like, yeah, I do it. I do it. I practice it, but I get way deeper into presence just with my breath and with my voice. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because you know what? Sometimes people, they try to fit themselves into other mold that don't fit them. And the
Mm,
way that you have said it makes me so happy, because you really tune into what you, your body, and your soul like. So thank
mm.
you for doing what makes you happy. But
Thanks.
I
Beautiful.
feel, sorry.
It's a beautiful reflection. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel though, like within this 10 years, there must
Mm,
have been some times where you feel like, am I on the right path? Did
yeah,
you
for
ever
sure.
feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. Many, many, many times. I just think that you know when you're not around your people, you feel it. And for probably 6 of those 10 years, I was not around my people and I wasn't respecting myself and I wasn't loving myself because I was stuck in a bit of a state of trauma. And yeah, I surrounded myself with people who weren't respecting themselves either because I believe it's like whatever's going on internally is reflected directly outside of you. So, yeah, if I'm not loving here, of course I'm going to hang out with rat bags and do stupid shit, excuse my French, but you know? And then as
Yeah.
soon as I started respecting and loving in here, my circles changed. People just dropped away. And now I'm surrounded by these beautiful, like uplifted souls who want to take care of themselves and take care of other people. And I love it. Like it's good and it's easeful and I feel like at home. Yeah.
The main reason why I asked this is because I just know that there are so many people out there that definitely feel so lost on whatever path that they are on.
Mm.
And so, how did you yourself overcome that? And sorry, before you answer that question, I just kind of want to say that yes, you are a yoga teacher, a breath worker now, and a sound healer. But obviously, there are people who are teachers, like primary school teachers, or maybe a cleaner or whatever. So I
Mm.
think not everyone are is meant to be a yogi.
Yeah, for sure.
So how can everyone, find contentment in their path?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good question. Thank you, Ting. Um, I never expected to be a yoga teacher either. I just want to flag that. It's like reluctantly I'll practice it, but I'm never going to teach this shit. Yeah, it just happened. But for sure, it does not have to be yoga. Like it's the thousandfold path. The Buddha sits under the tree and tries a million ways to enlightenment before he gets there. And like everyone is so unique and so different, and that's what's beautiful about life. And like for example, my partner, he's a boat builder and he loves like working with his hands and he loves the really fine woodwork and like perfecting things and spending hours just in his shed, like making stuff with his hands. And that's his way of tuning in and of being at peace and being joyful. And it's beautiful, and that's like a form of meditation in itself. And I've got so many friends who are artists who work with their hands, or like you say, even if your job is cleaning and you don't love it, it's not like it's not really lighting you up or it's not your passion. A job can just be a job as long as you've got something that you do in your own time that's just for you, that brings you joy and that lets you feel connected to yourself. Like it can be anything. It can be gardening, it can be writing, like journaling, or even just going for a walk in nature or walking, like getting underwater. For me, that's a big one. Just going underwater and swimming. I
Mm.
instantly tune into my breath and my body, and I'm like, oh, yes, I'm alive, I'm good, like I'm centered. My sister, it's like she'll either play her flute, she's a bit of a musician, or it could even just be having a bath and like doing her hair and makeup really
Yeah.
slowly and like taking care of herself in that way. Like there's so many ways that you can take care and tune in and feel that connectedness and that joy. And the other important thing I think is that it doesn't have to be a service. Like this culture is so obsessed with we have to serve and we have to work and we have to, if it's like, oh, I just realized something or I learned something, now I have to give it straight away and share it. Nah, like just keep it for you for a bit and enjoy it for you and like let it nourish you. And if you're meant to share that in a way of service, cool, that'll come naturally. But not trying to force it out of you onto other people. Like, just find what you love and do it, I reckon. And just do it for you. That's all that matters. And if it's like, okay, time to share now, you'll get the message and you do it. But
100%. And I think being ourselves, like our presence, is already sharing. That's a service because, as you have mentioned before, that you can feel the energy. So your presence, whatever energy that you're providing, doesn't matter if you have learned yoga or whatever you have learned, you are still sharing. You're sharing your energy, you're sharing your presence. So thank you for mentioning that. But
mm,
I still feel that it is very hard for people, especially nowadays, to
mm,
be present. So, how would you suggest everyone to be more
mm,
present in the modern days other than meditation and breath work or sound
mm.
healing?
Yeah, I know it's a good question, hey. Um, yeah, I feel like it's got to start with being present with yourself. So if you're not listening to your own thoughts, if you're not listening to your own body, it's really hard to be present and listen to other people. But if you are taking care of yourself and giving yourself what you need, then you've got energy left over to share with others. And I don't think there's one way to do that either. It's like I feel like it's different for everyone because me taking care of myself might be, oh, I want to sleep 9 hours every night. And I usually do, and it's great. Someone else might be like, oh, I only need 5 hours sleep, and then I've got to get up and, go. And that might be them taking care of themselves. Or, yeah, I really feel like it's different for everyone. But if you're present with yourself, you're listening to your body because really your body knows more than your mind thinks it does. Then you can be present with other people. But it's hard for me to like go into other ways to do
Pinpoint.
it because my way is through my body and my breath. So as long as I'm connected to my breath all day, every day, subtle awareness, like maybe 30% on my breath and the rest of it can go out, I'm good.
Well, then, by the sounds of it, because I don't know if you have met people who are so attached to the material world and
Oh, yeah.
also other judgments. Well, they accidentally take on other judgments or labels. So,
Mm.
um, would you suggest people to meditate and do breath work to slowly let go of those?
It definitely helps me for sure. And sometimes I think if you're really deep in like consumerism and in like owning your label and you're bringing yourself to the world through that label and I am the CEO of this company and that's my life. And if I'm not that, I'm nothing. It can take a bit of a stronger breath work or like even a physical exercise to get you back down to earth. So for some people, if they're really deep in that consumer culture and they're really fast paced and time is money and all that nonsense, they might need like hardcore exercise first and then they could go to a softer exercise and then they could come down to breath work because breath work is so subtle. I think it's hard to go from that heightened, I'm always on sympathetic nervous system, I'm always go, 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 I'm always working, I'm always, this is my focus, to, okay, now I'm just really being a soft animal and breathing. Like that is a huge jump
Yeah.
to make. So if we can have some little steps in between, like that could be helpful.
Yeah. So when you
But
say hardcore exercise, what does that mean?
for me to be like, go for a run.
Right.
So
Okay, cool.
anything that gets your heart rate going and puts you in that sympathetic nervous system mode. Yeah.
Right.
Anything that, yeah, that you've got circulation, you've got a heart rate, and you can't really think much anymore because your body is using all your energy. It can be a really good way to get people to ground. And that's, I think, why Western culture has kind of morphed yoga into this athletic sport, which it wasn't in the beginning. It's not the point. The whole point of asana was so you could open your body enough that you could sit comfortably on a cushion and meditate. That's the whole point. And now everyone's like hardcore power yoga. And I think it's because that's what Western culture needs because we're so driven to succeed and to make money and to own more things. And yeah, if you ask, like, even the people I taught in Paran, if I tell them to sit down and just breathe, they'd be like, let us move our bodies.
Really? Wow. So how, because to me, I feel like ultimately the reason why I feel like we should be more present and be more mindful is so we can be more accepting and understanding, so
Yeah.
we can live harmoniously.
Mm.
So how do you think right now
Mm.
everyone can be there for each other?
I feel like right now we've just received this big slap from reality with the C word happening around the world, the COVID. It's like, okay, and also the two things on my mind at the moment is obviously this global pandemic. And I watched David Attenborough's recent film that's like telling us where our planet's at right now and what we need to do if we want the planet to continue. Like, he's talking like a 50-year period that we may have left if we don't change.
Mm,
So I'm like, okay, we have this information now. How are people not waking up and realizing that we need to do something about it? Like, the planet is not going to last. You've got these 1% of, the wealthy people in the world who have families and they have children, but they're making these decisions that are impacting the whole planet and destroying it, and their kids won't have anywhere to live in 50 years' time. And it's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's a global pandemic that's forcing everyone to stop spending money. Like the economy's just gone
yes,
down. We're all stuck inside. We can't go out and wine and dine. We can't, consume. And so it's like teaching us to go inward and look at what's actually happening and look at the planet and go, oh, is this planet, my body planet, healthy? Am I nourished? Am I happy? Am I feeling love? And how is that directly reflected in the earth, in the actual planet? And what are we doing to the body here? And what are we doing to that planet out there at the same time? And how can we change that? Like nature and like Mother Nature and Spirit is so intelligent the way it gives us messages. And I feel like this is a huge, obvious message to change
yeah,
what we're doing. And we just have to listen to it. Just
I
hope we
hope.
can listen. I'm like, I hope we don't go back to exactly how we were, before we get the warning.
Yeah, I have faith and hope for the future. And
Hmm.
speaking of which, what would be one advice or one thing that you would like to leave behind for the future generation?
Good question. Um, just to remind them, because they already know, but to remind them that everything you have is already within you and you don't actually need anything from outside at all. Yeah, and that you're already enough and you're perfect and beautiful as you are. So love it and share it if you feel to.
Yes, I
Mm.
think even adults, they also forget about how powerful we are within ourselves. And
Mhm.
that you're right, that we already know how to heal and love and accept. And what I wanted to say is, first and foremost, I feel like we really need to respect our body, like you said, and
Mm,
tune in and be like, okay, so am I happy?
mm,
Are you moving right? Can you, do the exercises that you should be doing to get some movements, and then it
mhm.
will reflect out. So yeah, that
Exactly.
would be the very first step, everyone, if you are struggling.
Totally.
If today was your last day on earth, how would you
Mm.
like to spend it?
Good question. I would like to go to a quiet beach, like somewhere in a national park, like a really wild beach. And I'd like to just be there with my family and my loved ones and maybe some mangoes and avocados and like really simple. The good fruit and the ocean and my loved ones. That's it.
I love the mango and avocado part.
Mm, they're the best. I mean, like, how can you not love life when you have a mango? Really, it's
Or
so good.
avocado.
Yes. I'm like an avocado a day person.
Oh, yum. That is so
Mm,
healthy and nourishing for your body too.
mhm.
Now, before I say goodbye to you, do you
Mm.
feel like there is anything that you would like to talk about in particular, or I didn't ask?
I thought about this one just to say that, like, it's actually incredible that we get to be alive in a physical body and that we're here now at this point in history and that we're like healthy enough to move and we're healthy enough to sing and we're healthy enough to be in community and to share practices that we love and to be grateful for that. Like, how beautiful that we get to be in this body. And in my belief, it's like, okay, I'm in this little fragile physical form, but I'm actually able to channel infinite energy. Like, I'm also part of this whole spirit that's created this whole planet and everybody else, and we're all one. And how beautiful is that when you can start to see through that lens of unity? Like, I'm Ting and Ting's me, and we're all one big breathing organism made up of the same stuff. And just this contrast of, yeah, like muscle and flesh and blood, and then this really light spirit energy that can move through it. It's amazing. Yeah.
We are so connected more than we think.
Hmm.
I want to ask if you are comfortable. Actually, no. How long is your breath circle normally?
Usually we do 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah.
And is it possible if I ask uh to do a 10 minutes for this
Yeah,
interview?
we could just do like mindful breathing together, which is really the core of the whole practice.
Amazing. Well, for
Mm.
those who are listening and watching, you are in for a treat. I will hand it over to you if you're
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, sure. Cool. So you guys can choose if you like to be in an upright seat or you might prefer to sit down on the ground and cross your legs. You could even be standing in a kind of mountain stance with your feet wide and your shoulders rolled back, or you can even lay down if that's more comfortable for you. Really, whatever feels good in your body. I'm going to sit today on the chair. So I've got my feet nice and wide and connected to the ground. And I just want to make sure I've got an upright spine. So you might imagine there's a little thread at the top of your head and it's gently pulling you up towards the sky. And then we'll take a few breaths here, inhaling to lift the shoulders up. And as you exhale, let them roll back and down. You might breathe in through the nose and out the mouth. We'll do three more like this. Feel free to close down your eyes. A really natural movement with the shoulders. Beautiful. And then you can keep your eyes closed if you like. And when you're ready, we're just going to pop one hand on our belly and one hand on our heart. And let your shoulders be nice and soft, really soft through your face, your cheeks, your jaw. And when you're ready, we'll take a deep breath right down into the belly and fill all the way up to the chest. And then exhale from the chest down to the belly. And breathing in through the nose, fill your belly all the way up to your chest. And exhaling from the chest down to the belly. Inhale to the belly and feel your hands rise as you breathe in. And exhale from the chest down and feel your hands gently float back towards the body as you release. Now we'll try to breathe in 3 parts. So when you're ready, take a third of your breath into the low belly, a third of the breath into the ribs, your center, and a third into your chest, right up to your collarbones. When you feel full, exhale 1/3 from the chest, then the ribs, then the belly. 3-part breath. Inhale to the belly, ribs, chest. Exhale from the chest, ribs, belly. Right down low into the belly, ribs, chest. Release from the chest, ribs, belly. Now we'll try to put that all together in one smooth wave of breath. So when you're ready, take an inhale, feel your belly, ribs, and chest all the way up. Expand the body as you inhale. When you feel full at the top, exhale from the chest down, wave-like movement as you release the breath. Inhale, fill your belly, ribs, and chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Inhale, belly to chest, fill up. Exhale, chest to belly, release. Inhale, belly to chest, fill up. Exhale, chest to belly, release. And I'll count us down from 10 to 1. You can keep taking your deep, mindful breaths for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you're ready, we'll just bring both hands down onto the belly and let yourself take a few deep belly breaths, just focusing on the belly rising and falling as you breathe. Really soft, gentle breaths into the belly. When you're ready, you can relax your hands back down, open the eyes if you like, and just take a moment to check in with you and notice how you're feeling after your mindful breathing practice. Without judgment, just noticing how you're feeling. And if you like, you can feel free to just share one word on how you're feeling. And you can either say that out loud or you might prefer to just quietly say it to yourself.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was beautiful. For those who are listening and watching, oh, my voice is probably too high pitched compared to yours now.
That's beautiful.
Sorry.
That's your name. No, I love
Um,
it.
but for those who are listening and watching, if you thoroughly enjoy the experience, I'm sure you have. Beata's details will be in the description, so please feel free to get in touch. And I'm sure you're going to feel blissful every time.
Mm,
And simple as it is, we are all breathing. And I hope that you will feel more present and find peace within your heart and connect with your authentic self.
mm,
And
beautiful.
I would like to say a huge thank you for your time today and thank you for what you do and
Mm,
for following what you are called for to do. And
mm,
yeah, thank
mm.
you.
Thank you so much, Ting. Thank you for letting me share it. It makes me so happy to share it.
Did you enjoy that breath work? Are you feeling all relaxed and connected now? It really isn't that hard to start connecting within. And I want to say a huge thank you for taking time to love and respect yourself. Honestly, no matter what job you have, maybe you are a yoga teacher like Beata, maybe you are a cleaner, or maybe you enjoy volunteering. No matter what it is, I know you will find love and light and purpose in that task. And if you do hit a wall or a big challenge, now you have this interview to refer back to. I'm sure you have enjoyed Beata's breathwork experience. Her details are all in the description below. Give her a follow on social media or simply get in touch and see how else she can guide you through to connect with your authentic self. Again, however you're watching this episode, please do tag us on social. We would really appreciate the love. Now don't forget to subscribe, click the thumbs up button if you have loved it, and share it with someone because you never know what they're going through or what they might need. And remember, you're amazing and you are not alone. I will see you next time.